Welcome to the regular meeting of Putnam County Legislature, August 3rd, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the legislative prayer. Legislator Neil Sullivan, can you lead us please in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Legislator Nazarino? Legislator Sullivan, prayer.
Do both. Let us be willing to see the big picture in all things, act in accordance with our best interest, most ethical self, and grant the benefit of the doubt to all those we meet. Amen.
Roll call.
District 1, Legislator Montgomery. District 2, Legislator Goldman.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Nazarino.
Present.
District 5, Legislator Albano.
Present.
District 6, Legislator Yonke.
Present.
District 7, Legislator Castellano.
Present.
District 8, Legislator Sage.
Present.
District 9, Legislator Sullivan.
Present.
District 3, Chairwoman Ednizio.
Present. Before we proceed with the agenda items this evening, I would like to remind everyone that as chair, I am required to maintain order and decorum so that we can accomplish our meeting's agenda. I am also required to enforce the legislature's rules of procedure. Number 4 is approval of minutes. Public hearing from the Agricultural District, July 6, 2021, and the special meeting, July 22nd, 2021. Moving on to number 5 is correspondence from the county auditor. There is no activity during this reporting period. Moving on to pre-filed resolutions. I call on Chairman Yonke from the Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Chairwoman Adnizio. On behalf of myself, legislators Nasarino and Sullivan, I'd like to move forward with item 6A, which is the approval of a budgetary transfer for the Bureau of Emergency Services. It's for 2 new emergency service dispatcher positions.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nazarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Item 6B is the approval to replace resolution number 50 of 2002. It's personnel military leave. This replaces or clarifies a former resolution that we had in place, which allows for the payment for our those of our employees that are serving in the military while they're away. This gives a greater benefit to the employee and makes up for any loss of income while they serve our country. This is a wonderful thing that we're doing for our employees, and it shows that we recognize their service. Thank you.
Discussion?
Legislator Nestle.
Yes, Legislator.
Yes, this is a wonderful thing, and I commend the administration, personnel department, who proactively worked to revise this resolution. It's the intent of Putnam to amend and extend the resolution, ensuring that employees are made whole. And we've seen through COVID that our active military duty they have been called to duty, and this ensures that there is no loopholes and there's no gaps in their payments, their vacation times, their accrued times, and it just speaks volumes to the value we place on those serving our country and our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Yes, Legislator.
I just wanted to make a note. I'm sorry. Thank you. I just wanted to make a note that this was passed out of the legislature after September 11, 2001. It was passed in March of 2002, within 6 months of the attacks on September 11. And this is important because it keeps our military whole while they're serving. while people are serving overseas, their families are still at home. Their families are still responsible for making their payments. Their families are still waiting for them to come home, and it keeps their families whole and their benefits whole while they're away serving our country. So I'm in full support of this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I'm proud to support the updated version of our military leave resolution. I want to thank the Personnel Department that we now have a more streamlined, comprehensive policy. Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I call on Chairman Albano.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Fiscal Services Committee.
Thank you. On behalf of legislators Castellano, Bloom, and myself, I'd like to move 6C, approval of budgetary amendment 21A-058, Planning Department. This is for paving the amount of $79,458 in our transit facility. And this money comes from the CARES Act funding. We have monies available that we need to spend by the end of the year, and this is a good use of the money. The paving ended up being more than what was anticipated, and this will fill the gap.
Thank you. Any discussion? Zero fiscal impact.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
6D is an approval of green infrastructures and complete streets program, climate smart communities program. This is connected to Executive Order 1-2021. County Executive notified the department heads of our goals with regard to clean energy and energy savings. So we'll be moving this resolution, just making that commitment to where we want to be in the future. At this time, we'll be spending approximately $8 million in green energy ideas. That'll actually give us a reduction of $300,000 a year savings. Will help pay for all of these improvements. And these are things that we would have had to have done anyway. But most importantly, it's going to affect climate. In a second, I'll just give some highlights. What basically is build a climate smart community, inventory emissions, set goals and plans for climate action, decrease energy use, shift to clean renewable energy, use climate smart materials, implement climate smart land use, enhance community resilience to climate change, support a green innovation economy, inform and inspire the public, and engage in evolving process of climate action. Fortunately, we've been on top of this for the last few years, so I would like to move this.
Discussion? Legislator Nasarino.
I'm certainly in support of this, and this resolution merely supports the initiative steps that we have been taken, and we will continue to move forward with supporting green infrastructure and clean streets as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I too, I'm very supportive of this as well. I mean, step by step, we're getting there, we're doing a great job, and you can see the change over the last number of years, and we continue to do the right thing here for the people of Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just everyone's aware that in July 2021, just recently, the current building has solar panels now, and several other county facilities will follow. Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 6E is an approval for Putnam County to act as lead agency in the secret process determination. This is regarding the Drewville Road Bridge replacement. It's an unlisted action, and Putnam County is to be in charge.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 6F, this is in connection with 6E. This is approval of authorization for the Commissioner of Highways and Facilities to conduct a public hearing for the Drewville Road, known as CR 36, over the West Branch of Croton River Bridge replacement, bin 334-5550, pin 8757-65, in the town of Carmel. This is a required, public hearings are required for these type of projects.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goulden.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
6G is an approval for Putnam County to act as lead agency in the secret determination for the Sprout Brook Road Bridge replacement. Similar as the last two.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goulden.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
6H, approval of authorization of the Commission of Highways and Facilities to conduct a public hearing on the Sprout Brook Road CR 15 over the Canopus Creek Bridge replacement. That's bin 334-5690, pin 8762.13. This is in the town of Phillipstown. Again, it's a required public hearing.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goulden.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I now call on Chairman Sullivan for the Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ednizio. On behalf of myself and Legislators Albano and Castellano, I'd like to move forward with item 6I, which is the approval for a fund transfer related to the Board of Elections to lease 26 voting machines.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goulden.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I now call on Chairwoman Nasarino for the Protective Services Committee.
Thank you. On behalf of myself and legislators Sage and Sullivan, I would like to move forward with the approval of Budgetary Amendment 21A-061, the Sheriff's Department to utilize proceeds of these asset funds. This request is from the Sheriff. It is a budgetary amendment to utilize the state seized asset funds for the purpose of securing a 12-month renewal of software and licenses from Calio 2009 Corporation. This was also renewed in audit and administration.
Any discussion? Legislator Goulden?
Sorry, I thought you asked for a second.
Oh. Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goulden.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Ednizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to agenda item 6K, approval transfer 21T126 from the Bureau of Emergency Services and Sheriff. This is the utilization of a grant that was issued and approved in 2019, and we're simply just utilizing some of those monies for to purchase audiovisual equipment and rescue equipment. So it's in the amount of $46,537. So there will be an purchase of 911 call center video wall, and for the emergency operations center, a system upgrade.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I call on Chairwoman Sage from the Health, Social, Educational, and Environmental Committee.
Thank you. On behalf of legislators Adonisio, Nasarino, and myself, I would like to bring forward the following items for approval. Item number 6L for approval of budgetary amendment 21A062, the Youth Bureau New York State Highway Safety Program Grant Award in the amount of $38,186. The Youth Bureau has been awarded this grant from the State of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee to participate in the New York State's Highway Safety Program. The goal of this program is to reduce the number of crashes, injuries, and deaths on New York State roadways. There is no county match required, and there is no fiscal impact.
Discussion? Legislator Serena?
I think this is just stupendous. This is a wonderful opportunity, and it's a wonderful program. This is going to initiate a team driver court in addition to youth court, and really going to accelerate the awareness for driver safety. I have mentioned many times I've lost my niece over 25 years ago in a car accident with teenage driving, and here we are over 25 years later having the same conversation. I think it's important to bring awareness and to have our youth really understand and have it resonate the perils of unsafe driving. And according to the statistics, 33% of deaths among 13 to 19-year-olds occur in motor vehicle crashes. And 56% of teens say they talk on the phone driving, and 16-year-olds have the highest crash rates of any other drivers of any other age. So there's still so much work to be done and so much awareness to be raised, and this supports that initiative. And also that what was implemented was the teen driving agreement, which over 400 children and their parents signed at DMV. So I'm very happy to see this move forward. I'm very happy that this information will resonate with our youths. And also, what was mentioned that teens in the 18 to 24-year-old group, because even in that group, there's still some awareness that needs to be realized and some concentration on our young adults understanding the perils of unsafe driving and distraction and drinking and drugs and the whole gambit. So I am 1,000% behind this, and I think it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm happy to support this and to see that Putnam County has awarded this grant of $38,186. It promotes good driving habits for all our new drivers. Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6M, approval of budgetary amendment 21A064, Health Department Household Hazardous Waste Day in the amount of $55,000 to hold an additional hazardous waste day in Putnam County this year. There is a fiscal impact of $27,500 in 2021. This is a result of an increase in expected costs from the events, as the previous event in May had a record number of attendees with a large number of chemicals as a result of cleaning out their homes during COVID. It's also attributed to an increase in costs from the event due to personnel costs from the vendor to accommodate COVID guidelines.
Discussion?
Thank you.
Goldman.
Thank you, Chairwoman. These hazardous waste days are very important for our community. If we didn't have these, people would be throwing their waste and their garbage into our water system and into our wells, and it's really not a good thing. And I'm glad that we're doing this, and I have supported them, and I will continue to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? The justification for the increase in expenses was that the May 2020 event was canceled due to COVID. This led to October's 2020 event to be very large, with 439 attendees. Due to COVID, many people found themselves at home and started cleaning out garages and storage areas. This also caused the increase in the number of attendees. The next event is October 9th, 2021, and there is online registration on the county website. Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Adenizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 6N, approval budgetary amendment 21A065, the Health Department Epidemiology and Laboratory Capacity COVID-19 grant funding in the amount of $418,370 to account for grant funding for additional epidemiology and lab capacity. This awarded is funded 100% by a CDC-sponsored cooperative agreement for epidemiology and laboratory capacity for infectious diseases, and there is no fiscal impact.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Adenizio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6O, approval budgetary amendment 21A066, Office of Senior Resources, Administration for Community Living Grant Award in the amount of $54,400, empowering communities to reduce falls and fall risks. There is no match required for this grant, and there is a 2021 fiscal impact of an increase to the contingency of $7,200 as existing staff costs are partially offset by grant funds.
Any discussion? Legislator Nasarino.
I think, again, this is another wonderful grant that has come our way to empower communities to reduce falls and fall risks. Michael Cunningham gave his presentation at the Health Committee meeting and really embellished upon the regional neighboring counties that have joined in and the evidence-based programs that will be supported. And also the critical element of the cost for seniors if they do incur falls and hospitalizations. We are an aging population. 1 in 4 adults in Putnam County are senior citizens. So this is certainly a great program and grant money to be utilized for prevention, and I think it's great then. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Legislator Sage.
I'd also like to point out that the Director of Office of Senior Resources, Michael Cunningham, stated that our office here in Putnam County will be the lead agency in a 5-county partnership with its neighboring offices for aging in Dutchess, Orange, Rockland, and Ulster. So Putnam County will be the lead agency in preventing falls and fall risks in the region.
Thank you. Anyone else? This ACL grant is absolutely needed here in Putnam County. Statistics show that 1 out of 3 adults fall each year, resulting in detrimental impacts on health, while others result in fatalities. Statistics have shown that community-based programs such as this have the ability to reduce falls. Education and implementation of strategies can help seniors improve balance and health. Glad to see this moving forward here in Putnam County. Roll call vote.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6P, approval for budgetary amendment 21A067, Health Department Epidemiology and Laboratory Capacity COVID-19 grant funding in the amount of $2,098,073. The New York State Department of Health has allocated Putnam County Health Department funding to enable schools and school districts in Putnam County to establish COVID-19 screening and testing programs. These programs are meant to support and maintain in-person learning in private, public, OCs, and charter schools in Putnam County. This funding is provided by the Centers for Disease Control for the purpose of supporting in-person learning, and there is no fiscal impact.
Discussion? Yeah, we're not sure now if this will be mandated. We were discussed that at a committee meeting, or will be left up to each individual school district to decide. If not mandated, then the superintendents of each school will have the opportunity to either opt in or out. Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. On to item 6Q, approval for a fund transfer 21T133 for the Health Department Environmental Health Aids, temporary, in the amount of $23,201 to fund through the end of 2021 2 temporary positions essential to complete the mandated public health protection programs at the Putnam County Health Department. These staff have been vital in the COVID response, as well as helping the health department meet the overall health mandates, and there is no fiscal impact.
Discussion? Legislator Nasarino.
I certainly would support this fund transfer. Sean Rogan spoke about the important work that these temporary workers are performing in the field and how imperative it is for them to continue, especially during COVID, and the tasks that they have to perform. So I'm very supportive that this will be able to, they will be able to continue the good work that they have done in the past and in the upcoming months.
Thank you. Anyone else? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'll call on Chairman Castellano from the Audit Administration Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. On behalf of Legislators Albano and Goldman, I'd like to move forward the following. Item 6R is the approval of a budgetary amendment for Putnam County Tourism I Love New York program. We see here an increase in state aid that's coming to us in the amount of $28,048 that we're going to put into good use to hopefully draw more people to Putnam County and the surrounding areas so we can take advantage of some tourism money.
Any discussion?
I just like,
Legislator
Chair.
Sage?
I'd just like to point out that every dollar spent in tourism in Putnam County offsets your tax bill here in Putnam County. So it's very important that we increase our tourism. It helps the local economy, it helps our local businesses, and it helps the bottom line with your tax bill.
Thank you. Anyone else? Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Edmondson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 6S is the approval of a local law to amend Charter 41, Section 41-5 of the Code of Putnam County entitled Deposits and Investment Policy. This is a list of all the local banks that have our deposits and where we can put Putnam County money. Just as an FYI, we do this every year.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Anenzio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to number 7 is other business. Is there any business?
I'd like to make a motion to add the approval for the support to restore the display of American flags at the Brewster train station to the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'd be honored to second that motion.
Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Anenzio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Discussion?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Recently, it came to my attention that 2 residents of the town of Southeast had lodged complaints regarding flags installed at the train station in the village of Brewster. The flags were hung by a local gentleman who is a Korean War veteran who takes time every day to greet commuters who travel to and from the village of Brewster. The troubling parts of the complaints were the sentiment that there are too many American flags flying in Putnam County and that some residents found these flags offensive. I propose this legislation tonight to ask the MTA to restore the American flags to the train station in a way that requires minimal maintenance and placed in a place that does not cover existing signage. I did learn earlier today that the MTA has offered to install a permanent flagpole in front of the station, which I think is a small victory here. I want to say thank you to Neil Zuckerman, who's our representative on the MTA board. He was very helpful, and I thank Neil for his assistance in this matter and for all the other matters that he's helped with over the years. I proudly move this resolution forward and ask my colleagues for their support. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Legislator Castellano.
Thank you. I'm proud to second this, and great work by Legislator Yonke to move this forward. It's Brewster Village, it's in my district, and it's a beautiful building. It's one of the few original train stations on the Metro North line there. I believe there's one of 3 that are as old as this one is. The gentleman that is the Korean War veteran that comes forward, he's an incredible person who's incredibly patriotic. And every morning and evening, he shows up at the train station to greet the commuters who are coming off the train station. And he's the one that really should get credit for what he did. He decorated it. I think it started around Memorial Day. A couple flags started coming up, and the place looked beautiful. And very proud to have him as a neighbor. I think he does tremendous work. I know he was on CBS News at one time for his work. He's just a great guy to have at the train station, looking out for our fellow citizens and doing the right thing. And I think we really do need to bring the flags back to Brewster Village train station. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Legislator
I just became aware of this when you look at it. It's absolutely hard to believe in the world today. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud of the flags we have in Putnam County. People make comments every day when I see our flags. Just a great proposal here, Legislator Yonke. I think it's fantastic that you brought this. This is the county that we're proud of, and we're proud of our flags. So it's a no-brainer.
Anyone else? Legislator Nasarino.
I too would like to echo the sentiments that were just said. I am very proud to support this. I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to live in Putnam County, and I'm proud to display the flag of the United States of America. And I thank Legislator Yonke for bringing this forward.
Anyone else? Legislator Sage.
Thank you. The U.S. flag is a symbol of freedom for all of us. It represents those who fought and died to protect our freedom and makes it possible to live in a free country, to protest, to disagree, and guarantees our freedom of speech. It also protects the person or the people who complain and who wants the flag removed. If we lose sight of what our country was founded on, then we lose our freedoms. The disrespect of removing Old Glory from the train station is nothing new. Our flag has been spat upon, burned, trampled, and yet she rises time and time again. I will not stand by personally while our symbol of freedom, sacrifice, and hope is torn down from the Brewster train station or any other building in Putnam County because of one or two complaints by someone who was offended. That deeply offends me and all who stand behind the freedoms and liberty, hope, and sacrifice that our flag represents. We are one generation away from losing our freedom that the flag represents, and we have to stand firm in our resolve to protect our flag at all times. I just would like to thank Legislator Yonke for bringing this forward. I didn't know about it either. And I vehemently support restoring the flag to the Brewster train station, and I thank our representative at the MTA for allowing a flagpole to be erected at the train station.
If I could just add something, thank you. I would like to recognize our Mayor, Jim Schoenig, Mayor of the Village of Brewster. Jim brought this to my attention, and Jim's been in the middle of it, and he's been outspoken. I thank you very much. I'd like to recognize him. He's here with us tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to also thank Legislator Yonke for bringing this forward, and Mayor Schoenig for bringing it to his attention. You know, Putnam County has more flags, and we're so proud of our flags. Just look at Lake Oneida and the spirit of freedom within the county to show our patriotism is a great thing for us. And I echo what all of my fellow legislators have said. They said it all. So I'm in favor of this tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Legislator
I'd
Gould.
like to thank Legislator Yonke. It's a wonderful thing doing this. And for the Mayor of Brewster, thank you for bringing it to legislators' attention. You know, the American flag is a symbol of freedom and democracy for the whole world, not just the United States. And for someone to say that Putnam County has the largest selection of American flag, that's a proud thing. That's a very nice thing. And I'm glad that I live in a county that displays the American flag. I know my family, we display the American flag every holiday. And it's a very nice thing, and I'm glad we're doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to make a motion.
I just want to say
I'm
something.
sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to thank Legislator Yonke also for bringing this forward this evening. I just want to say, what's next? Telling us that we don't have the right to fly the American flag on our property because maybe we will offend our neighbors. I thought we lived in America, land of the free, because of the brave men and women who fought for our freedom. The American flag has stood for justice for over 225 years. The Freedom to Display the American Flag Act of 2005, found in Title IV of the U.S. Code, prohibits any community association, such as a condo association, from restricting or preventing any homeowner from displaying the flag of the United States on their personal property. Liberty, justice, freedom, and love of country. That's what my flag represents. Thank you again for bringing this forward.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to move this resolution forward, but I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas the flag of the United States of America is a symbol of freedom and liberty to which Americans pledge their allegiance, standing at attention and facing the flag with our right hand over the heart, we recite a pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And whereas the American flag's 13 alternating red and white stripes represent the 13 original colonies, and its 50 white stars on a blue field represent all 50 states, and whereas the colors on the flag and what they represent are red for valor and bravery, white for purity and innocence, and blue for vigilance, perseverance, and justice. And whereas Public Law 94-344, known as the Federal Flag Code, makes clear that the flag is a living symbol of a living country, and whereas a patriotic display of American flags at the Brewster train station in Putnam County, which flags were donated by a local veteran of the United States Armed Forces, was recently removed due to a complaint made to the Metropolitan Transportation authority. And whereas the MTA demonstrates its enthusiasm for the display of the American flag by including its depiction on MTA locomotives and train cars. And whereas the respectful and patriotic display of American flags at the Brewster train station or any other respectful and patriotic public display of American flags is entirely appropriate and welcomed by all good citizens of Putnam County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Putnam County Legislature respectfully calls upon the MTA to restore the display of American flags at the Brewster train station, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution shall be sent to the management of the MTA and Putnam County's representative on the MTA board. There's no fiscal impact, so with that, I make that motion.
Second.
I'd like to second.
Second.
Joe, second.
Thank you.
Roll call vote?
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Goldman.
Proudly, yes.
Legislator Yonke.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage.
Yes.
Legislator Sullivan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Anizio.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 8. 8 is recognition of public on agenda items. At this time, any member of the public who wishes to speak on agenda items only may come up to the podium, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Barbara Scuchamara, Town of Phillipstown. Hello, everyone. Looking very calm tonight. Great agenda and great work, Legislator Yonke. Oh, really? Short. Two of them I'd like to comment on. 6D, the Green Infrastructure and Complete Streets Climate Smart Initiative. This is not just about solar energy. Now, if you look deep into this, this is about clean water, which is high on everybody's priority. It's making streets with trees lined on each side to catch the water. We live in Phillipstown, we live in a very steep main street, and everything goes down into the river. And as you know, I'll do anything to protect the river. So this is a great initiative, and it just opens up a lot of other things that we can do besides just putting solar on the buildings. As a matter of fact, years ago, you might remember, I mentioned Climate Smart, and I was in discussion with the county executive to see what department heads had already begun working on Climate Smart initiatives and not even really realizing it. Energy, not using styrofoam, all those initiatives are all part of this, which is so important. Rain gardens, it's very small things that will eventually make a big impact in this initiative. So I'm really excited that you did this. Thank you so much. And the other one was, if I can find it, 6M, the Health Department Hazardous Waste Day. It's so worth the extra money you have to put in this, because we don't want these paint cans and everything else going into our water. And that's really what it ended up. Another initiative, if you remember, is hazardous waste is take back, medication take back. I brought it to Phillipstown initially to keep the medication out of the water supply. It turned into something completely different when we ended up with the opioid problem. But the FDA actually told people to flush medication down the toilet. So it's all about education. But thank you so much for doing this. I look forward to keeping an eye on what other initiatives come forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. A couple of things on the agenda that I'd like to talk about. First of all, thank you for the budgetary amendment. I don't know if any of you have been by the planning department in the transit facility, but no great feat that it's finished on schedule, high quality, and within budget. So we're very proud of that. We're starting phase 2 with the interiors and the architectural actual building. I'd also like to talk a little bit about complete streets, because there was such controversy, and I was hoping that Legislator Montgomery would be here. If anyone ever has a question, we're not noisy, we don't ring bells and clang, our voices. When we work in the departments, we're doing a job that the county executive wants us to do. We have been working on climate smart and complete streets for a very long time. Mayor Schoenig, we have actually, with interns, worked on the village of Brewster and have an entire complete streets plan. It's just a draft, they're just suggestions. We're going to continue to review this, currently working on the village of Cold Spring as well. And when we take a look at it, just some of the overview of recommendations for Brewster on complete streets are the realigning of intersections at Main and Oak, providing sidewalks on Oak, Peaceable, implementing bike lanes, connecting the bike lanes to the bike paths, reduce northwest curve radii with striping at Main Street and Route 22, provide pedestrian facilities for ADA compliance, implement lane marking on Main Street, and the list goes on. So what we're looking for is just to quietly do the work that needs to be done, work with our local partners, and it's great to have a mayor here in the office, in the audience with us tonight. And we all work at this when we're together working at it. I would ask the legislators from Brewster to come on in if you want to see this, and also the legislators from Cold Spring. We're working right now on the village of Cold Spring with the interns before they leave. And again, this is a great program, and I do want to say that Legislator Scucciamaro started this in 2017. Finally, I guess the last thing on the agenda was something that you brought up with our flags. Hooray for this legislature and for Putnam County for being as patriotic as you all are. It was great to be here at the meeting tonight with you, and again, I look forward to working with all of you from the planning department and in every aspect that I can help you with your individual districts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ken Clare. Particularly item 6A. I just want to thank the legislature, protect the services, our county executive for moving forward the very important 2 dispatchers as we brought up personnel and protective services. It's great to see such great support from this legislator for emergency services in our county. As we go forward with this consolidation, this is our next move. Approving 2 additional dispatchers, which will now bring our staffing up even more. Again, it'll get us right in line from where we need to be. It'll give us the opportunity to have our 3rd dispatcher on a midnight shift, as we discussed previously. Again, thank you very much for always supporting emergency services in the county, especially Jamie, who's been doing all the fire advisory board meetings. I appreciate it, and Neil. Moving forward, also, I'd like to thank the legislature, especially Legislator Yaki, for bringing up the final agenda item, which was the American flags at the Brewster train station. I'm a resident of Brewster, of course. And that individual I'm very proud of him. He's one of our life members of Brewster Volunteer Fire Department. He's a 65-year member, Korean War veteran who stands out every day, morning and night, as you know, greeting guests coming in and off the train, and I was appalled when they were removed. So bravo to you guys for supporting his initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kevin McConville, Town of Phillipstown. I'd like to also speak about item 6A. I appreciate the fact that you authorized that and have moved that forward. That action alone will benefit the citizens of Putnam County as well as any visitor to this area. It's a benefit to the men and women in emergency services, and it'll definitely help our first responders at scenes and at mutual aid calls. And that's a true benefit, and it'll mitigate the stress and strain upon the existing staffing level. So I think what you've done is invaluable and will benefit each and every member of emergency services and the citizens and residents of Putnam County. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sarita Tamania, Town of Phillipstown. I'd like to address the agenda items 6G and 6H. I am a former resident of Continental Village, born and raised, and I'd like to thank you very much. I it really is a testament to this legislator, that how well you work together to accomplish things like rebuilding our infrastructure and making sure that emergency services are well equipped. And I'd like to thank you for that. So,
Thank you.
Hi, I would like to thank Legislator
Your
Young,
name and...
Mayor Schilling from the Village of Brewster.
Thank you.
I want to thank Legislator Young for bringing this up to your attention. I received an email probably about a week ago, and with your permission, I would like to read that today so that you know exactly what I was thrown into, just between the village and the MTA property. Okay?
Yes.
It says, "Hi, Mayor Schoening, if you are not the right person to address this note, please let me know. I'm writing to ask who is responsible for all these flags at the Brewster train station," and she attached a photo with the American flags and the thin blue line flag. "For what I understand, nothing is supposed to be hung at the MTA property. When I put up flyers at the station advertising Putnam Pride Parade in May, they were immediately torn down. Yet these flags are allowed to be displayed all over, giving the impression that all Brewster residents support the thin blue line flag, which has an extremely complex and sordid history. There are probably more American flags displayed throughout Putnam County than any other county in the country. I do not see the need or the purpose for these flags, unless we are allowed to add a Putnam Pride flag and a Black Lives Matter flag alongside them. Please let me know, and I'd be happy to provide those." I was taken back when I got this email. My great uncle lost his life for that flag in France in World War I. My father served in World War II, and my father-in-law served in the Korean War. And you hit it right on the head. What's next? George, if you all know George, George is a great guy. He was there to greet people every morning. And he just put the flags out. And it looked great. And there was another email that also came in. And that email more or less goes into the line flag, but also explains that there's so many flags. I know what country I'm from. It's getting bad. And I appreciate your efforts tonight with that resolution. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? This time, moving on to number 9, which is recognition of legislators. Legislator Mann.
Transportation manager, Mr. Tamaglia mentioned, we don't put ads in papers, all the things we do with Climate Smart, Street Smart. But since I became a legislator, like 10 years ago, whatever it is, how many years ago, we did a $2 million sidewalk project. We did tremendous things on the bike trails. And every one of the legislators comes up with new ideas every day. I remember Legislator Castellano said, why not connect the bike trail to one of our parks in Brewster? And we jumped on that. It's transportation, making efficiencies. These are all priorities to us. And it goes hand in hand. It saves taxpayers money, and it's the right thing for the environment. Maybe one day I'll make a list, because we've done a tremendous amount of work. It's endless what we've done. We walk through our buildings now, lights are turning on and off as you walk through the building. Every aspect, everything that we could have touched, we looked at, considered, studied, and we keep moving forward, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Legislator Sage.
Thank you. Excuse me. I just wanted to recognize the passing of Dr. Raymond Phillips, who is a distinguished member of the Putnam County Board of Health, whom I served with as the chair of health for the Board of Health. He passed July 14th at the age of 90. I had the opportunity to serve with Dr. Phillips on the Board of Health. He graduated from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and then to Yale Medical School. I just want to point out a few highlights on his obituary, if you will, just to let you know the high caliber of individuals that we have here and how deeply he will be missed. According to his obituary, as a doctor, his pursuits were truly far-flung. He served in the United States Air Force, where he provided psychologic testing for high-altitude pilots, many of whom manned the Apollo missions of the 1960s. He trained in medicine at St. Johns Hopkins University and then New York Presbyterian Hospital, after which he joined the practice of his father-in-law at Phelps Memorial Hospital in North Tarrytown, now Sleepy Hollow, where he helped establish the continuing medical education program and the intensive care unit. In addition to three other medical education programs, in addition to 3 other medical books and numerous articles, he authored The Cardiac Rhythms, which became a part of the canon of nursing and cardiologic education around the world. He was a founder and director of the Peripheral Vascular Clinic in New York City and of the Medical Exchange International, a not-for-profit organization whose mission it is to provide training, access, and medical supplies to the underserved of the world, which took him to clinics and schools in Ecuador, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, and Sudan, among many other destinations. He was always eager to teach. He inspired medical students at the New York Medical College and the Women's Medical College in Dhaka, Bangladesh. He continued to see patients into the last year of his life. He kept an astonishingly active schedule until he was hospitalized in April. For his 80th birthday, he hiked Breakneck Mountain. At 85, he traveled to Nepal for Medical Exchange International. Just after he turned 90, the last of his medical textbooks came out. And in June 2021, a letter of his was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. He was a gentle, generous soul, playful, thoughtful, a loving grandfather, father, and friend. I wanted to recognize his accomplishments, his volunteerism in Putnam County, and the legacy of Dr. Phillips, and offer my condolences to his family.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Sullivan.
please, thank you. I'd just like to mention, as the Delta variant has come to predominate lately, COVID numbers are rising, including in Putnam County. Although at levels much lower than the past, it's important to note that hospitalization rates are extremely low. We're all hopeful that we won't see another surge. We are still learning a lot about COVID and its long-term consequences. They're not fully understood yet, and that's why the bottom line is that everyone should take COVID seriously. And as our Commissioner of Health, Dr. Mike Neshawat, released today, he advises all our residents the best way they can protect themselves and to protect the community is to get vaccinated. So please, everyone, get vaccinated. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Anyone else? Legislator Yonke.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to just say thank you again. Thank you to Jim Schoening for being here tonight and for making me aware of the situation at the Village train station. I'd like to thank all my colleagues for the support that they gave on this resolution. I'd like to thank our council for drafting this wonderful resolution. So it's just a big thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would like to say that August is designated as Children's Eye Health and Safety Month. It's important to have your children's eyes examined during well child visits. The eye doctor can help detect refractive errors such as nearsightedness, farsightedness, and astigmatism, as well as some eye diseases. Sometimes there are warning signs, such as swelling or redness, that may indicate that your child has a vision problem or an eye disease. Keeping your children's eyes safe is another part of maintaining healthy vision. Eye injuries are the leading cause of vision loss in children. There are 42,000 sports-related injuries every year in America, and children suffer most of these injuries. According to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, all children should wear protective eyewear while participating in sports or recreational activities. There are many eye conditions that can affect a child's vision, and it's important to be aware of any visible changes to a child's eyes. Some symptoms of eye problems can be obvious and some very subtle. My granddaughter just turned 2 years old and was just diagnosed with a rare eye cancer called retinoblastoma. It would have went undetected detected, but thankfully my daughter noticed a haze over one of her eyes. She immediately called the pediatric ophthalmologist and was diagnosed and in treatment at Sloan Kettering within days. I'm speaking about this tonight to bring awareness to the many different eye diseases that can affect children. Taking action quickly can save your child's vision and their life. Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.